Have you ever found yourself repeating the same relationship pattern over and over again and wondering why? Maybe you always attract partners who pull away just when things get serious. Maybe your family relationships feel draining no matter how hard you try. Or maybe you know a relationship is toxic but you simply can't leave. If any of that sounds familiar, you are in the right place. Welcome back, I am Pavla Blackmore, and this is Pillar 2 of our Yuen Method series, Relationships and Boundaries. Today, we are going deep into the area that I have found affects every single client I work with, no matter what they come in for. I have learned in my practice almost every physical symptom, every health issue, every limitation in life has a relationship component underneath it. And that's not a metaphor, that's energetics. So let's get into it. Most of us approach relationship problems the same way. We analyze, we talk, we read books. We maybe go to therapy, and sometimes that helps, but often the same pattern comes right back. And why? Because the root of most relationship dysfunctions isn't psychological, it's energetic. And in the Yuen Method, we look at relationships through the lens of 6 levels of consciousness: physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, psychic, and intuitive. And a relationship problem almost always has a weakness on more than one of these levels simultaneously. Think of it this way. Your energy field is like a signal you are broadcasting to the world. And that signal determines who you actually attract, who stays, who leaves, how close people can get to you, and what happens when they do. So before we look at any specific relationship in your life, whether it is your partner, your parents, your colleagues, we need to start with one foundational question. So the question is, where do I end and where does the other person begin? This may sound simple, but for most people who struggle with relationships, the answer is genuinely unclear. In the Yuen Method, we call this the boundary of self. And when this boundary is weak, when your energetic field doesn't have a clear edge, you essentially become permeable to other people's energy. Their moods become your moods, their problems become your problems, their anxiety becomes your anxiety. You might recognize this as codependency or as being an empath who absorbs other people's emotions, or simply as never quite knowing what you actually feel versus what you have picked up from someone else. And the interesting thing is, this boundary issue usually has nothing to do with willpower or psychological strength. It's a structural weakness in your energy field, and it can be identified and strengthened. When we do that work, when we clearly establish where you end and where the other begins, something profound shifts. You stop losing yourself in relationships. You stop needing others to regulate your internal state. And paradoxically, your relationships often become closer because you are now relating from a place of wholeness rather than a need. So now connected to this is something I call mistaken identity patterns. And this is one of the most fascinating areas of Yuen Method work. A mistaken identity pattern is when you are energetically resonating as someone other than yourself in a relationship. Most commonly, this happens when we unconsciously adopt the identity of a parent, an ancestor, or even someone from a past life. So you might find yourself acting out your mother's relationship patterns, even though consciously you have sworn you would never do that what she did. Or behaving toward your partner the way your father behaved toward your mother, despite having zero consciousness intention to do so. This isn't psychology. It's energetic inheritance. And here is why it matters. If you are walking around with someone else's relationship identity active in your energy field, you are not attracting a partner for you. You are attracting a partner for them. So when we identify and release mistaken identity patterns in a session, clients often describe it as, "Oh, I finally feel like myself in relationships." And let's get specific: partnership and spouse dynamics. Whether you are in a long-term relationship that's feeling stuck, experiencing recurring conflict, or going through a painful separation, the Yuen Method approach is the same. We look for the energetic weakness underneath the dynamic. And here is something that surprises people. In partner dynamics, the issue is almost never about one person alone. There is what we call a karmic common, a shared energetic resonance between two people that creates the dynamic. This is why one partner changing rarely resolves the pattern. In sessions, we work on both people, even when only one is physically present. We identify the karmic common. We look at what ancestral or past life experiences are feeding the pattern, and we strengthen the system to allow something new to emerge. This doesn't mean every relationship can be saved. Sometimes the karmic purpose of a relationship is its ending, and strengthening the field allows that ending to happen cleanly without prolonged suffering. But often, what clients discover is that what looked like an irreconcilable difference was actually a solvable energetic weakness, one that both people had been carrying without knowing it. And now family, the original relationship system. Everything in our family of origin is a template. Your first experience of love, of safety, of boundaries, of conflict. All of it is encoded in your energy field before you even have language for it. Parents are often the most powerful relationship pattern in our field. And this is particularly true in the Yuen Method framework, where we recognize that parental patterns can transmit not just within one lifetime, but across generations. If your mother carried an unresolved pattern of abandonment, you may be energetically weak to abandonment in your own relationships, not because you psychologically learned it, but because it's in the energetic inheritance of your lineage. And in-laws, which is something Dr. Yuen himself speaks about extensively. The spouse family line carries its own karmic patterns, and those patterns interact directly with your own. When two families join through partnership, you are not just joining two individuals, you are joining two ancestral fields. Conflict with in-laws, difficulty feeling accepted, tension around family money or decisions. These often have deep ancestral roots that can be identified and resolved. Another topic, toxic relationships. This is a word we hear a lot, but what makes a relationship truly toxic from an energetic perspective? A toxic relationship is one where the karmic common between two people is actively draining rather than neutral or nourishing. And importantly, toxicity doesn't always look dramatic. Some of the most draining relationships are quiet, slow, and incremental. In the Yuen Method, we don't just ask, is this relationship bad for me? We ask, what's the energetic weakness that is keeping me in this dynamic? Because here is the thing. You are repeatedly drawn to people who treat you poorly. The question is not about them. The question is, what in you, in your energy, is resonating with that treatment as familiar, as safe, even as deserved? And communication patterns, the way we speak, the way we defend, the way we go silent, the way we explode, these are almost always encoding from early family dynamics or ancestral experiences. They are not character flaws, they are stored programs. In a session, we can identify which ancestral line is running a specific communication pattern and strengthen the field so that a new pattern becomes possible, not through effort, not through practice, through energetic clearing. And the reason we do that is simple. Some relationship patterns simply can't be explained by this lifetime alone. Have you ever met someone and felt an instant, overwhelming connection? Or an instant, inexplicable repulsion? Have you ever been in a relationship that felt fated, as if you couldn't leave no matter what? Have you ended a relationship years ago but still carry it in your body? What this means practically is that you and another person may be replaying a dynamic that was not resolved in a previous existence. And until that energetic pattern is resolved, the same play keeps running with different actors. The good news is, the Yuen Method works across time and space. A past life karmic pattern is not more difficult to resolve than a present life one. The process is the same. Identify the weakness, identify the source, regardless of when it occurred, and strengthen the field. Clients who have done this work often describe relationships that had been painful for years suddenly losing their charge, not because anything happened, but because the energetic hook was removed. So, this brings us to two final areas: attracting a soulmate and letting go of past relationships. On soulmate attraction, the Yuen Method perspective is that you don't find your soulmate, you become available to them, and availability is an energetic state. If your field is carrying unresolved grief from a past relationship, mistaken identity patterns from your family line, or a weak boundary of self, you are not broadcasting the frequency that resonates with genuine partnership. You are broadcasting the frequency that resonates with whatever unresolved wound is most active. So the work isn't about trying harder to find love. It's about systematically identifying and removing the energetic weaknesses that are blocking it. When those are resolved, attraction changes. The type of person you are drawn to changes, and often the right person appears without effort, without strategy, without a dating app. On letting go. This is one of the most common things I work on with clients, a past relationship, sometimes from years or even decades ago, that still has a hold, still appears in dreams, still triggers a physical response. That hold is energetic. It has nothing to do with how much time has passed. It has everything to do with whether the karmic common between you and that person has been resolved. When it is resolved, letting go doesn't feel like a loss, it feels like a completion. So, let's bring this together. Relationships are not just emotional or psychological, they are energetic structures and the patterns that keep you stuck, whether it is unhealthy boundaries, toxic dynamics, family conflict, codependency, or difficulty attracting love, all have an energetic root that can be identified and cleared. In the Yuen Method, we work across all 6 levels of consciousness. We look at where your boundary of self is weak. We identify mistaken identity patterns. We address the karmic common between you and the specific people in your life. We look at past life karma when the pattern demands it. And we resolve it, not over months of therapy, but in the precision of a single sessions, going directly to the source. Your system already knows where to go. So if this video was helpful, please give it a like and subscribe. We have more pillars coming in this series. And if you have a specific relationship question, drop it in the comments below. Thank you for being here and see you in the next video.